Imagine walking through a Backrooms level and then falling over and no-clipping into another level that has a nuclear explosion happening right in front of you. That doesn't sound too fun, does it? Well, that's pretty much what this level is. Hey everyone, I'm Broogli, and in this video I'm going to be explaining Backrooms level 174, or Eternal Gamma. This one is awful, like extremely dangerous, and you probably should avoid this level at all costs if you find yourself in the backrooms. Anyways, let's hope YouTube doesn't demonetize me for this, but let's get into it, shall we? So, level 174 has a unique classification of Class Delta, and it's extremely radioactive. It's also unsecure and uninhabitable completely. And even the classification graphic has this cool little radioactive sign on it, which I thought was pretty nice. Anyways, the level is very, very volatile, and you'll see why throughout the video. The base level itself looks like a lifeless, barren desert landscape that expands out in all directions for about 150 kilometers, or like 93 miles. It's dotted with old structures too, like sheds and water towers and even some small towns, but more on those later. But a desert with old buildings doesn't seem too bad, right? I mean, it just looks like the old western United States. But it's actually terrible here because a very high level of toxic radiation in the air is present throughout all the level. And that toxicity comes from the giant nuclear mushroom cloud that you can see off in the distance. The mushroom cloud seems to almost be frozen in the sky, and it's easily over 2,000 feet tall, or like 600 meters. You can see debris flying through the air, and the wind is blowing, and you can feel its heat, and it looks like it just blew up every time someone gets sent here. You'll just feel like the entire atmosphere is going through this explosion like it just happened, and you get there right as the aftermath is happening. Now, it's basic safety, but the first tip I have for this level is to not walk towards it, because that would be dumb. If you do, you could get burnt from the radiation, you could get exposed to more toxic air and that kind of thing too. The closer you do get to the fireball, the more broken and volatile the landscape gets too. And you'll know you're actually in the safer zones outside of the blast radius when you don't feel the burn in the air and the ground isn't cracked and broken and on fire. Once you get to this safer zone where you're no longer being incinerated and burned up, it'll be about 30 miles or 50 kilometers from that point where you hit the border of the level. This border isn't really a wall or like an invisible barrier. It kind of just ends there, because if you try to walk past it, you'll get sent out and you'll no-clip out. So yeah, the explorable part of the level is actually pretty small, just like 30-40 miles, which means that the second you get sent there, you're gonna have to run to that border to try to get sent out. As I said earlier, this level is a nondescript desert landscape, so you shouldn't have too hard of a time running away, because there won't be too much in your way, just random shrubs and brushes and maybe a few old towns, but even the towns themselves are not safe. The sky of the level is normally in a really bright orangish state, and it's kind of yellow and bright, and of course that light is coming from the giant mushroom cloud off in the distance. It can actually be so bright that you temporarily can't see, so just don't stare into the explosion if you want to keep your eyesight. Now, the desert landscape here is not completely empty because, as I said earlier, there are random buildings dotted throughout the safer zones, and all of them are abandoned and empty, and it looks like no one's been there forever. But they can range from windmills to shacks to sheds to small town blocks, and the style of the buildings here is like an early 1800s style from the western United States, like cowboy times pretty much. And the buildings are all falling apart due to all the explosions that happen here. And depending on how close they are to the mushroom cloud going off in the distance, they can be more or less damaged. There's not just towns and buildings though, there's also been some old power plants discovered as well, which is weird because power plants were a thing after towns like this were. All of the tech inside of these power plants are fried and old and it's all decaying, but it's still pretty weird that they're here. And it's also weird that they're abandoned. It's almost like someone saw that this explosion was going to happen and they were like, hey, let's get out of here. Because of over 70% of the level being hazardous and uninhabitable, it is very dangerous to set up a colony or a base or even trying to stay here at all. But Meg has actually set up a couple of bases in the past years to try to study what's going on and why there's a constantly exploding nuke that's going off in the distance. But I don't care about bases here. If I got sent to this level, I would literally just turn around and sprint away as fast as I can. But you do need to listen closely to the entrances and exits of the level, because if you use the wrong wrong entrance, then you might spawn inside of the nuclear explosion. So listen up. There are actually a lot of known entrances that lead directly into the nuke, which are these right here. You can see them on screen. You need to avoid these at all costs. Use these instead if you have to come in for any reason, like falling through a sand patch on a level might send you here to one of the safer zones. It's probably the best one. It'll send you out to a safer spot outside of the blast radius. I mean, it's still terrible to be sitting here because there's a literal nuke exploding in the distance, but it's better being sent in the desert away from the nuke than inside of the nuke. Now, to escape the level, you're gonna need to just run away from the blast until you reach that border area, and then you'll be sent out to a different level. The borders are not visible. You'll just be phased out and no clip out, so you have to run as far and as fast as you can. I mean, that's all I can tell you. So yeah, before the video ends, I do have some questions about this level. The first one is, what kind of explosion is the one that's here? Is it a nuke? Or is it a bomb? Is it a building exploding in the distance? We're just assuming that it's a nuclear explosion because of the radiation in the air and the fact that it looks like a mushroom cloud. But if that's the case, who dropped it here, or what dropped it here, and why are they exploding it in this desert? Did the USA find this level and somehow tap into it, and they use it as a testing ground for weapons? Or is it something else? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Pretty interested to hear about it. Anyways, that's it for me in this video. Thank you so much for watching until the end. The channel's on the road to 1 million subscribers, which is utterly insane and ridiculous. Thank you all so much for the love and the support you show me every day. I'm so blessed to have you all as the best fans ever. I can't believe this is happening. When I get that golden play button, it's going to be very emotional. I'll do a live stream. It'll be awesome. I'm also flying to England to the level 188 picture location. There's a hotel there where that's at. That's a 1 million subscriber special. So if you want to help me do that, if you want to see that happen, drop a sub, tell your friends and family about me. Get me to 1 million and it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. Thank you all for everything. I have so much planned for the Broogli channel, so many new series and returning series coming back, and I really hope that you all are ready to see them. This is going to be an awesome summer and an awesome year. Thank you so much for everything, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.